The Old Man's Forgotten Memories. An old man lived in a small house near the park. His hair was white, and his eyes were soft and kind. Every morning he walked slowly to a wooden bench under a big tree. He sat there for hours watching the children play, the birds sing, and the wind move through the leaves. He smiled, but deep inside he felt something was missing. He often forgot things. Sometimes he forgot where he put his keys. Sometimes he forgot what day it was. But the saddest part was that he forgot faces, names, and even his own past. His house was full of pictures. People in those pictures smiled at him, but he did not know who they were. He touched the frames and tried to remember, but his mind was empty. One day, a young girl came to him. She had long brown hair and bright eyes full of hope. She sat beside him on the bench and held his hand. "Do you remember me?" she asked gently. The old man looked at her face. He wanted to say yes, but the truth was he did not know. The girl reached into a small bag and took out a book. It was old, with yellow pages and a leather cover. "This is your book," she said. "You wrote about your life." She opened a page and began to read. Her voice was soft and warm. The words were simple, but they carried deep meaning. As she read, the old man closed his eyes. He listened carefully. Some words felt familiar. A woman's laughter, a child's footsteps, a house by the sea. For a moment, memories flickered in his mind like small lights in the dark. He saw a young boy running on the beach. He saw hands holding his, strong and full of love. But before he could hold on to them, they faded away like a dream. The girl smiled at him and continued reading. The old man did not remember everything, but something inside him felt warm. He did not feel alone, and for a little while he was not lost in his own mind. He was home. The next day, the old man sat on the same bench, waiting. He did not know what he was waiting for, but his heart felt lighter than before. The sun was warm, the air was fresh, and the sound of children laughing filled the park. He watched them run and play, their joy spreading like sunlight through the trees. Soon the young girl arrived. She wore a blue dress and carried the same book in her hands. She sat beside him and opened it. "I will read more today," she said. Her voice was gentle, full of patience. The old man nodded. He did not remember her name, but he remembered her kindness. She turned the pages slowly, letting her fingers rest on the words. "This is about your house," she said. "A small house near the sea. White walls, blue windows, and a garden full of roses." The old man closed his eyes. For a moment he could smell the salt in the air. He could hear the waves crash against the rocks. A woman's voice called his name, but it was distant, like a whisper in the wind. The girl continued reading. She spoke of summer days, of long walks on the shore, of laughter around the table. "You had a son," she said softly. "You taught him how to fish. You held his hand when he was small, and later he held yours when you were tired." The old man's hands trembled. He wanted to see these memories, to feel them again. But his mind was like a book with missing pages. He looked at the girl. "Do you know my son?" he asked. His voice was quiet, unsure. The girl's eyes filled with emotion, but she smiled. Yes, she said, and he loves you very much. She did not say more. She only held his hand, letting him sit with his thoughts. The old man did not know everything, but in that moment, he felt something real. Love, connection, a small light in the fog of his mind. He squeezed the girl's hand gently. He did not remember her name, but he knew she was someone important. And for now, that was enough. The days passed, and the old man returned to the park each morning. He sat on the same bench, watching the world move around him. Some days he felt lost, like a traveler with no map. But then the young girl would come, and for a little while the fog in his mind would clear. She always carried the same book. She would sit beside him and read, her voice steady and warm. "You love the sea," she told him one morning. "You would wake up early before the sun and walk to the shore. The waves were your friends. You said they always knew how to listen." The old man closed his eyes. He tried to see it. The sound of water, the smell of salt, the cool sand under his feet. Something stirred deep inside him like a shadow moving behind a curtain. "Did I live near the sea?" he asked, his voice filled with quiet wonder. The girl nodded. "Yes, you had a small house there. You planted flowers in the garden. Your wife loved roses." The old man frowned. A name floated in his mind, just out of reach. He could almost see her face, but it slipped away before he could hold on to it. "My wife," he whispered. "Where is she?" The girl hesitated. She turned the page of her book, slowly. "She is not here," she said gently. "But she loved you very much. She wrote about you in her letters. She said you were the kindest man she had ever known." The old man felt something deep in his chest, an ache, soft but strong. He did not remember the letters. He did not remember her, but he wished he could. "Was I happy?" he asked. The girl smiled. "Yes, you had a beautiful life. You loved deeply, and you were loved in return." The old man looked at the sky. The sun was warm on his face. The past was a puzzle with missing pieces, but he was not alone. Someone remembered for him. Someone cared. And for now, that was enough. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows on the ground, the old man sat on his bench, his hands folded in his lap. The girl arrived, as she always did, carrying her book. She sat beside him without a word, flipping through the pages until she found the one she wanted. Then she began to read, her voice soft and steady. She spoke of a man who once built a wooden boat with his own hands. He painted it blue and white, like the sky and the clouds. The boat had a name carved into the side, but the letters had faded over time. The old man listened, his eyes fixed on the trees ahead. Something about the story felt familiar. He could almost feel the rough wood beneath his fingertips, smell the fresh paint in the air. He closed his eyes and tried to remember. A picture formed in his mind, blurry at first, then clearer. A younger man, strong and smiling, standing beside a small boat, the water sparkling behind him. The name of the boat, it was important, but it hovered just beyond his reach. He sighed, his shoulders sinking. The girl noticed. She placed her hand on his gently. "It's okay," she said. "Memories are like birds. Some stay close and some fly far away." She turned another page. "You loved to sail. The water was your home. Even when the world changed, the sea stayed the same." The old man nodded slowly. He did not know if the words were true, but he wanted them to be. He wanted to believe he had once sailed under the open sky, feeling the wind in his hair and the sun on his skin. "Did I teach someone to sail?" he asked after a moment. The girl smiled. "Yes, you taught many people. You said the ocean had lessons to give, and you wanted others to learn them too." A warmth spread in his chest. He liked the thought of that, passing something down, sharing something beautiful. He looked at the girl beside him. "Did I teach you?" The girl hesitated. She glanced down at the book in her hands, tracing the edges of the pages. "Not exactly," she said, "but in a way, you are still teaching me." The old man did not fully understand, but he did not press for answers. Some things he had learned were better left to unfold on their own. He looked up at the sky, watching as the first stars began to appear. Even when the night came, the stars always found their way back. The days passed, and the old man continued to sit on the same bench, watching the world move around him. He did not always remember why he was there or what he was waiting for, but he knew the feeling of the cool breeze on his skin, the sound of leaves rustling in the wind, and the warmth of the sun on his face. These small things made sense to him, even when his own thoughts did not. The girl still visited him every afternoon. She brought her book, as always. But now she also brought other things: old photographs, letters with faded ink, seashells that smelled of salt and wind. She placed them in his hands one by one, letting him hold them, feel them, study them. She did not ask him to remember. She only let him experience them in the present. One day she brought something different. It was an old, folded map with creases so deep they nearly split the paper. She opened it carefully and pointed to a small dot on the coastline. "This is where you lived," she said. "You used to tell stories about this place. You knew every street, every house, every boat in the harbor." The old man traced his fingers over the map. The lines and names looked strange, but something about the shape of the coastline felt right. He closed his eyes and tried to see it. The docks, the fishermen, the smell of the sea in the morning air. It was there, somewhere in his mind, like a song he once knew but could not quite sing. The girl turned the map over, revealing a name written on the back in careful, slanted letters. "You wrote this," she said. "It's your handwriting." The old man's breath caught. He did not remember writing it, but the letters looked familiar, as if they belonged to him. He ran his fingers over the ink, feeling its weight, even though it was only words on paper. "Did I love this place?" he asked. The girl nodded. "Yes, you said it was home." He repeated the word, letting it rest on his tongue. Home. It was a word that felt warm. even if he could not fully grasp it. He looked at the girl beside him, the one who brought him stories, memories, and pieces of a life he had forgotten. "And you?" he asked. "Where is your home?" The girl hesitated, then smiled softly. "Here," she said, "with you." The old man did not know why, but her words made his chest ache in a way that felt both heavy and light. He reached for her hand, his fingers trembling slightly. She did not pull away. They sat there, the map between them, the evening air growing cooler as the sun dipped lower in the sky. Somewhere deep inside, past the confusion, past the missing pieces, a feeling remained. A feeling of belonging. A feeling of home. The old man woke up early the next morning, feeling the soft glow of the sun through his window. He sat up slowly, his body stiff, but his mind unusually calm. He did not remember everything. Most days he barely remembered anything at all, but today he felt lighter, as if something deep inside him had settled. The girl arrived, as she always did, carrying a book and a small bag. She greeted him with a smile and sat beside him, placing the bag on her lap. "I brought something special today," she said, her voice gentle. She reached inside and pulled out an old watch. Its silver surface was slightly worn, and the hands no longer moved, frozen in time. She placed it in his palm, letting his fingers curl around it. "This belonged to you," she said. "You used to wear it every day." The old man turned the watch over in his hands. The weight of it felt familiar, the smoothness of the glass against his skin. He pressed his thumb over the engraving on the back. The letters were faint, but he could still make them out, for every moment, with love. He looked up at the girl, his brows furrowed. "Who gave this to me?" The girl hesitated for a moment before answering. "Someone who loved you very much." The words sat between them, quiet and heavy. He did not ask for a name. Maybe he had once known. Maybe he had once whispered it in the dark, held on to it like a lifeline. But now it was only a feeling, a warmth that wrapped around him like an old memory that did not need words. They sat together in silence for a while. The girl opened her book and began to read aloud, her voice soft and steady. The old man closed his eyes and listened. He did not know the story, but he liked the way it flowed, the way the words rose and fell like waves against the shore. As the sun dipped lower, the old man placed the watch beside him on the bench. He turned to the girl and asked, "Will you come again tomorrow?" She nodded. Of course. He smiled, small but certain. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know if he would remember her face, her voice, or the story she read to him. But he knew that she would come, and somehow that was enough. As the evening breeze brushed against his skin, the old man felt something shift inside him. Not a memory, not a name, but a feeling, a quiet sense of peace, a moment of clarity in a life filled with missing pieces. And for now, that was all he needed.